Good afternoon, welcome back everybody to another Last Epoch dev stream. I am your host, Mike. I'm just fixing a couple settings here before I start. Welcome! There we are, nailed it. First try. How's it going, everybody? We are going to hop right into things. We're going to go back to Age of Winter. Try and hammer out this timeline here on our Void Knight. Cracking skulls, taking names. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. We have a little tradition in our Discord of the Friday song. The good one, not the bad one. Okay, Mike, remember how to play this? Yeah, it's pretty cool, but you gotta actually do stuff instead of just pretending you're good at this. There we go. There we go. Alright, yeah, so, as always, if you have any questions, please pop them in chat at me, and I will answer them as soon as I can. We've already got one starting off here from Chatterboxy. Has there been any talk about random events which can occur during exploring areas? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It is, like the thing that comes to mind, there's obviously plenty of examples of things like that in Path of Exile, and I think they work really well, personally. So I'm a big fan of that sort of stuff. And I'd be surprised if it never happens. It won't be happening this patch, just because, you know, one major system at a time. But I think it works really well to have, like, auxiliary, or ancillary, depending on what more accurate, I don't know, extra endgame systems to play while you're going through one. You get like little breaks by getting things sprinkled in. We've got Rhymed, third month in a row. Happy Friday. Hey, Rhymed, happy Friday. How you doing? Glad to have you with us still. But yeah, I think that's a really cool, like, every once in a while something shows up like around the corner, and it's like a portal you can hop into, and it's a little mini dungeon or something. Maybe there's some sort of special reward at the end. Maybe it's just like there's always something generic at the end, so it's not like you have to like hunt for this specific thing or it's like the only way to get something. Maybe it's just an efficient way to get something, so like it's just an efficient way to get new crafting materials. I don't know. There's lots of cool ways you can do it, and I think it would be very useful to do. For sure. But you know, it'll be a bit before we do it still. Another question. Cerberon666. Will there be any changes to have a smoother difficulty transition from main story to endgame echoes? Yeah, that's something that we actually like try to, I guess, be smooth frequently. Welcome everyone from Lone Star McFluffin's chat. We've got a rating party of 13 people coming in. Glad to have you with us. Stay a while and listen. And talk too. I don't care, you know, whatever. Yeah, the difficulty transitions, it's really difficult to get right. Partially because there are such a wide variety of builds out there. So like, sometimes, like say for example, I know there's a big difficulty spike as soon as you get into the final chapter of the game right now, and classes which have incidental cleanse do really well there because they're just dropping poison stacks off themselves so frequently that their defenses are really powerful and useful in that final chapter. Final for now. It's not the last chapter. Sorry. Oh, nice little amulet. Bleeding heart. Not bad. So yeah, it is tricky because every class has different things they're good at, and every build has different things they're good at. And I think that we're getting more experienced with this problem, and we'll be getting better and better at solving it. So it's something that gets changed a fair bit. And I think last patch as well, and maybe this patch too, we actually changed the levels of the early echoes, so we rebalanced those slightly, and that's the sort of thing that's going to continue to happen. We also have talked about and built the system such that it could be easily shuffled, So you'll be able to like we'll be able to take the monoliths and be like, okay, well, let's just take this island and just bop it up over here, and take this island and put it over here, and just like shuffle them up so it's something different next time, you know? It is built in such a way that we can do that. We haven't decided if we're going to or when we would do that or whatever, but we can. We have the technology. Just Jord, my sub didn't come up. Oh no. Yeah, I don't see it, but I see you're subbed. So thanks for subbing. I appreciate you. I don't know why it didn't show up. It did not come up for me. I see nothing. But I do see that you are subbed. So, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, and if this is your first time here, all of our proceeds from the stream, bits, cheers, I don't know how they all work, donations, subs, all of that stuff goes to Extra Life. Whatever, we have a different charity that we do every month. Extra Life did a big thing at the start of the month, so we figured we'd just roll with it. We try and pick things that, you know, are cool charities. Yeah. We know we have a pretty international audience, so we often will do international charities. Sometimes we'll do gaming-related charities, because, I mean, we're a video game company, so seems like an appropriate thing. Alright, here we go. Why a baddie? why a baddie, huh? That's probably terrible, sorry. Do you think mechanics and itemization are at a healthy complexity level? The game is still in early access, so what direction do you think that's going? I think that there's a little bit of room for more complexity. Not a lot more, but we do try to, and this is like a huge thing that's come up recently about complexity in general. We do try to keep the complexity at a good point. So like that's the most useless statement. Never mind. We try and get the complexity to a point where it adds depth. So I think depth is more important than complexity. But you can't really have. There are ways to do depth without much complexity, but you can't really have depth without any complexity. So I'm trying to think of a contradictory example to that statement, but I can't think of any, so we're going to roll with it. I think that it's really important to have a deep itemization system, and if we can, we try to use as little complexity as possible to get that depth. And that might seem weird, but we're not gonna. The topic I'm kind of skirting around is the crit change that we kind of half announced. That's probably happening still. I think it's important to make sure that the sources of complexity in the game have a reasonable amount of depth, or are at least interesting and fun. You know, like, yeah. So as far as will it change much, I think we're at a really good spot for it. There's room for a little bit more complexity, but I don't think we need much more to really hit that depth sweet spot.
I cannot do that. I cannot do that. I cannot do that.
Oh man, I just need more void cleaves. Give me that void cleaves all the time. I just want like 3 charges. Is today the day you accidentally announced the dungeon release date? Well, I don't have to accidentally do it because we've already actually announced it. It's December 10th. So that number's out there. Yeah. At least I hope we've actually announced that. Oh no, what have I done? No, it's good. Can you show us new Mage and Acolyte models? Those will be coming in a full-on social post that has all the details of those. Probably sometime next week, maybe the week after, I don't know. But no, I cannot show you those. And I don't know the timeline on that really, but they are done, I think. So they should be showing up soon. They look really good. I saw the Acolyte one for the first time yesterday, and it's like, it really fits really well. So I'm pumped for the Acolyte one a lot. The Mage one's really good too, but the Acolyte one always felt more off to me. That like there was a lot more room for improvement on the Acolyte one than there was on the Mage one, because I really liked the Tywin look. So yeah. Alright. Is there a plan to add damage type conversion to the game? Unless this is a thing, I've just not seen it. Oh yeah, there's a ton of damage type conversion stuff in the game. Like, fire. Fire. Yeah, there it is. I guess I can just look at the the icons, find it, but yeah, search is easier. Yeah, so like here's this converts Void Cleave from Void to Fire. And there's also like incoming damage conversions too, as affixes on items. Here if we affix taken. Yeah, so like void damage taken as physical, necrotic damage taken as physical, poison damage taken as physical. So you can convert the damage you take as well. Alright. Hey, would you guys consider more advanced item filter rules? Yep, I wanted, for example, to have a rule like I want boots with movement speed and one of these affixes. The current system allows me to have only a single has affix parameter. Yeah, so this is a really interesting topic, and one that we've been discussing and talking about for, since we started deciding if we wanted a loot filter. And that's the percentage of items that it actually shows you, compared to the percentage of items that you actually want. Compared to the percent, yeah. So, say you want, say there's 100 items that can just drop, possible. And you want 3 of them. But the affixes, or the loot filter can only filter it so that you show 6 of them. So it's 3 that you want and 3 that you don't want. There's still a little, like that's filtering out the vast majority of items. You're seeing only like the few items that you want to see really. There's a little bit of variation. You're seeing all the ones you want to see and the ones you possibly don't want as well. It's something that's close to but not quite perfect. And I think that process of identifying an item is actually useful. I am not suggesting that we're going to bring back ID scrolls and you're going to have to go to Kane to get your stuff ID'd or anything like that. It's that there's this process of discovery. So there's like something drops on the ground, and it's like this is one of the things we did with unique items fairly recently, actually, where it doesn't actually say the unique name until you mouse over it. So you know that this is a one-handed sword, a unique one-handed sword, but this could be one of probably, I don't know, 20 one-handed unique swords that we have in the game. And it's only until you actually mouse over it that you see that it's Gladiator's Oath to find out if it's something that you want to keep or not. And I think this is a really important step in that there's still a little bit of like loot discovery in game. It's not just like, oh, something dropped and I can see the title, therefore it must be perfect to pick up. Because as soon as you get to that point, there's no thought that goes into it. There's no like it's just everything that drops is guaranteed good. And I think that there's a little bit of a I think there's value in having that secondary discovery timing, where it's like something dropped, it might be good. Let me see what it is to see if it's actually good. And post patch, there's going to be a question of why can't I filter this and why can't I filter that. This right here is my answer to that. Yeah. So clip that, and once the patch goes live, you can play that clip as an answer to that question, and you'll know exactly what it is as soon as you see it. But we can't talk about it just yet. And this could change. This might not be a permanent thing and everything, but that's part of the reason why we do that. Now, as far as the actual like being able to filter 2 affixes simultaneously, that might not go as far. Like that might not be as problematic, and we might not restrict that quite as much. So maybe we might add in that second, like this affix and that affix as an option, where you can say like I specifically want these items or whatever. And you can kind of do it now. It's finicky and frustrating, and if you want to set that up for 20 different items, you end up with this horrible hodgepodge of rules, and it's really inefficient, and all these things. So it's because what you can do is you can hide all the items that have the affix that are of that base type that have the affixes you don't want, and then have another rule that shows any item with the affixes that you do want, and order them such that it will do what you're looking for. And once you can achieve something in the game through a roundabout weird way like that, usually we just add it in. Because then it's just a convenience factor, really. Like a setup UI convenience factor, not even a gameplay convenience factor. Oh, I now see Just Jord.
Not do that.
Sub, yeah, there we go. I had to relog, but kept going on the game. Can't wait for the future. Glad to have you with us. Thank you very much for the sub. Oh, we got boots. Let's find out what they are. They're Stormtide. So there we go. A little bit of... There we go. Yeah, okay. Next question. Dungeon, crafting, and legendary leaks. Anything for us to chew on? I don't really have much for you right now with that. We've got the... I should probably bring up the article to find out what you guys actually know, because that's where I get into trouble, where I'm like, oh, they know this for sure. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I think dungeons are going to be fun. It's going to be a really interesting... system to design for in the future. We actually just had a meeting today about future dungeons for subsequent Fallout patches. So there's the first patch that we come up with the dungeon system is not going to have a lot of dungeons. And I've talked about this before, so this is not really leaks. Sorry, but yeah, we spent a lot of time this patch developing the system in the first place and developing tools to make the system to make the levels and everything. So there's a lot of work that goes into it that way. And yeah, so we could have waited a patch and just not had anything like that, but we decided to just release one of them right off the bat. And the way that you interact with dungeons is going to change slightly after the second, third, fourth, fifth dungeon come in. Just because of how the entrance is accessed for all of them. I'm sorry, I'm like skirting around this because I don't know what's like public knowledge yet. Sorry. Does the dungeon have a name? It does have a name. I don't think we've shared what the name is yet, though. We may have. I just gotta bring that up. Where's the article? Forums, announcements, patch update coming. Scroll up, I said. Thank you. Oh, we have unveiled the name for it. New endgame dungeon, Temporal Sanctum. Uh-oh. Sorry, that's a terrible thing to hear. I just opened one of the tools we use by mistake. But yeah, here's the next time on from the website. So yeah, so we've got the Temporal Sanctum, or Temporal Sanctum. I don't know how to pronounce it. Legendary items in Eternity Cache. That's going to be a big one. Revamped crafting system, also a big one. Getting great feedback on this right now, which I'm very happy about. A few little changes we've added in already for that. New rogue skill, which I don't think we've talked about specifically what it is, but there's been some hints. I think I've read off some nodes from it already. I think a lot of people suspected it was rogue skill, but weren't sure. Mage, Acolyte, character models, character select screen, new unique items. Yeah, new unique items. We put in so many every patch right now. It's crazy. It's great. I love unique item discussions. And the character select screen. I've been working on that a lot recently, and it looks so much nicer. The animators, the VFX people, the modelers, everyone just killing it. All I'm doing is turning stuff on and off at the right time. Not even. I'm giving someone else the tools to be able to turn something on and off at the right time. Let's crush some faces here. Oh, go to Streamlabs. Let me see the questions, please. Is it just me or did 8.3 fly by already? Yeah, it was. I mean, it's gonna be basically the exact same time between patches as the last one, I think. But yeah, it feels good. It does feel a little bit like it sort of just happened. Where are we at? Yeah, alright. Alright. Will Squirrel Helm be very rare drop? Yeah, the Squirrel Helm's a rare one for sure. It's a chase item. It has very high variance on its affixes. It'll be really tough to get a really good one. They're like, I think it's 5 to 75% or something like that on 4 of the rolls, and then one more roll it's like 10 to 30%. So it's got a big range on those rolls. But yeah, and that was something he asked for specifically. And the other question we got, which I thought was obvious, but like we clearly have to update the tooltip a little bit, is that we have. Like the squirrels are effectively wolves. Like the wolves turn into squirrels. The wolf tree still applies to squirrels. Like the wolves are squirrels, or squirrels are wolves. Either way, it works. So good at speaking, guys. So good. What drains your design energy most? Classes, skills, art style decisions, etc. I mean, it's interesting. The more design stuff we do, the more energized I get for design stuff. So like, what drains my design energy the most? Everything that's not designed. I think would be an appropriate way of putting it. Honestly, sometimes it's just like working on the same little piece for a long time. If it's not working, yeah, I guess that's the thing. If something's not coming together, and we're just like, we can't quite make something work, that drains it a fair bit. When you're like, I just want this to work. We just need to find the sweet spot for this whole design to slide together, or we can't agree on something. That doesn't happen very often. Usually we can find a compromise or a like I don't know what you want to call it. Like someone doesn't win, but like someone convinces other people to go a certain way. It's pretty rare. But yeah, that can be draining if you like work on something for like 3 hours and you just can't quite come to a consensus on it. That's tricky. But that's so rare.
Stand down or die. I cannot do that.
Oh my goodness. They just don't stop coming.
I cannot do that.
2 more waves. Here we go. That is something I wish it said, was it said how many waves it was out of. See? 13. I thought it was 15. Gotta add that in. Me taking notes. I know you guys have changes coming to the UI, like almost like ailment tracking. Does this mean there are also changes coming to the damage over time, or just UI? Well, so basically just UI would be the answer, I think, is what you're asking for. Like there will be changes to balance of all sorts of things. There always are. There's little changes here and there that have big implications. New items that have big implications sometimes. So there's going to be changes to dots in general. Maybe not direct, like this dot now has a maximum stack of this, or this dot now does double the damage, or anything like that. But I mean, maybe, but you know what I mean. That announcement was just talking about the UI itself. So it's there's no dummy here, is there? No, it's just the bar at the top. There's a little icon underneath that says, "This is how many stacks of this you have." Most melee conversions are only for the base damage, and that's pretty useless since it doesn't affect base physical damage for most weapons. Full conversion for melee on the team's mind. So the reason we don't have that is because we want, and this is a request we get a lot, and sometimes people say, it's weird. We get these conflicting requests, and I find it interesting to look at. So, having the base, having your weapon damage, your weapon and weapon damage feeling really important is a request we get all the time. People say like, oh, your like base weapon damage doesn't affect your skills enough. And it does, and sometimes that's a comprehension problem, but sometimes it's they just want it to affect it even more, and that's totally fair. But if we make the main reason why the melee attacks don't get full added damage conversion as well is because the your weapon damage type matters, and having that weapon damage type be consistent and persistent, I think, is really important. So having that the damage type that your weapon is dealing, like if you have a fire sword, having it deal fire damage regardless if you're using it to do an ice attack, I think is important. And also I think it puts a little bit of more interesting decisions on itemization again, because then you're using a and this might be kind of a weird thing, but restrictions often breed creativity. So suddenly you have less choices, which can actually mean that there's more diversity.
Stand down or die.
And you see this a lot with a good example of this in other games, Magic cards. If you like, so I played Commander, which is basically any card that's ever been in existence is allowed to be played. Pretty well. There's like a 40 card ban list or something like that. Other than that, fair game. Have at it. And once you've built 100 decks, 200 decks, you realize that you're using the same cards over and over because Sol Ring's just the best mana rock in the game. So you're using Sol Ring every time. And well, Arcane Signet now is arguably better, but doesn't matter. Point is that you end up with these really homogenized deck lists because there's certain things that are just staples that are just like, why would you play anything else? And so I find myself putting artificial restrictions on my deck building a lot more lately, such that I am not able to use these cards. And I'm saying, okay, like, we're not going to use anything that the value of the card is more than $1, or we're not going to use anything where the like every single creature has to be of a very set creature type, like strict tribal, and these restrictions, I think, breed a lot of creativity. They make it so that there's more interesting decisions that are made. And I think this is a similar thing that happens when you have restrictions on, for example, weapon types. So there might be like one sword that's just like, it's the most damage. If you're ever going to be using any attack with a sword, you always use this. That's the most damage, period. But then suddenly if you're like, well, okay, this attack needs to have cold damage weapon, and this other attack needs to have a fire damage weapon. Suddenly the discussion on which is the best, there's different ones that are the best in different situations. And I think that that's really helpful, especially when you're trying to make the sword that you're using really matter and really be an integral part of that, because like most melee builds, the weapon that you're using is a pretty important part of that build, thematically and mechanically. All right, I hope that was a good answer for you. Maybe not the one you're hoping for. and that's not to say we'll never do it either. If we're going to do a full conversion on a melee attack, it likely would be in Spellblade, if we haven't already. But yeah, that's likely where it would end up. Maybe Elemental Weapon will get that. That'd be cool.
I cannot do that.
That tree needs some love. It's been a while. We've got like a big list of all the skills and like how much we'd like to rework them, how important that rework is. And I know Elemental Weapon's on that list, but I don't think it's the like desperate. It's not in the desperate category. All right. With Rogue, will there be the older? With Rogue, will be the older. With Rogue being the only older model, do you have a new endgame armor model for Rogue? I think that's what he's asking. There's no. I don't think Rogue's getting any new armor model updates in this patch. There's very little about dungeons. Yeah, there's very little about dungeons. Llama's lying. We know everything. No. I don't even think the CTs have access to dungeons yet. Because we, like, just finished getting that implemented. And the reward stuff at the end is being really finicky. Really finicky. Oh, it's frustrating. There's the special shader that's on like an item type to have it like reveal nicely, and it's supposed to start invisible, but it's like visible for like 7 frames at the start and then fades in, and it's like, why? That was my morning. But I've enlisted some help, and I think they know what's going on because they wrote the shader, so.
Do that. I cannot do
Ooh. Ouch, my face? Why you want to hurt my face like this? I don't want to hurt your face like this. Oh, that's a lie I kind of do. But still, come on. Those guys, those Ember Mages, oh man, they're deadly. Just archers. Archers are always deadly. It's just the really fast projectiles that like synchronize up, so you get spike damage from like 80 different sources. Sorry guys, I would love to be answering another question here. I have found myself in great focus.
Stand down or die.
So a tiny little visual bug on the bar, the action bar, creating like a little sliver of white space. How did I do that? I'll figure it out later. All right, is the alt leveling with dungeons still a thing? Yeah, the So dungeons are there's a few purposes they're gonna serve. One of them, their main purpose, is as a new endgame activity to do with unique rewards and new mechanics that go with it. That's the primary feature, I would say. Well, that's how I'm going to look at it, as the primary feature. The secondary thing that it does do is it will give you opportunities to augment the leveling process for alts. And I know that's like the same line I used last time. There's no new information there. But it will be coming, I promise. I guess now's a good time to take... if you've missed it, we are giving away a whole bunch of sweet stuff with Logitech. So if you haven't seen it, go check that out. I'm going to put a link in El Chato. All I have is the Reddit link, because that's what I use the most. So there's a link for that. More details on when that's going to be happening and how to enter and all that stuff happening soon, but it's pretty sweet. I hope the playmat's part of it. It's such a cool playmat. I have one of those, and like I have one of the old ones too, and that's the one I actually use, is the old one, because the new one's just so pretty. Alright, we also got TNY has gifted a sub to Flintler. Thank you very much. I think you also gave me a sub to Ziz in his unboxing stream of the Squirrel helmet, so thank you again for that, TNY. That was cool. I was like, I'm just gonna sit here quiet. I'm like, oh crap, I'm not on my personal account. I'm on the Epoch account. Maybe no one will notice me. And then you did that like immediately. We were all sitting in Discord talking, and I said maybe no one will notice me. And then like seconds later, the gift sub came in. I'm like, but it was good. So I do appreciate it though. It was just the timing was too perfect. Can you show a pic of a squirrel, please? Like an in-game picture of a squirrel, or like... Do you just want like a squirrel? Oh, come on, internet. Would you be less bad at things? I was gonna download a picture of a squirrel, but it downloaded some weird format. Will Legendaries have their own Affix pool? Kinda? Can't really answer that question, sorry. Squirrels are Einhorn. Got it. Einhorn. That's a reference I don't get. David Einhorn? A hedge fund manager? Don't know who that is, sorry. That's what I got when I googled Einhorn. What is design stuff you talk about? You talk about it a lot, but I'm never sure what it actually is. So, like, I think the answer to that question is kind of like, we'll go in and we'll, there's really fine-grained design stuff, like debating the number of points that need to connect these nodes, and the number of points in each node, and the value you get. Like, is this 15% or is it 20%? Is it 4 stacks or is it 3 stacks? You know, like, there's a lot of fine design stuff there. There's like higher level design stuff where it's like, which conversions should we have in the tree? Should we have a fire conversion? Should we have a cold conversion? Should we have a lightning conversion? All these things. So there's a lot of design stuff there. And that kind of like high level to low level stuff applies to just about any category. So like sometimes we'll be looking at uniques and we'll say like, how many one-handed axe uniques are there? Do we need to have more of those compared to how many gloves are there? Do we need to have more of those? Like, die human. That's specious, man. Maybe not. Maybe he's just describing me. Not bad. In previous streams, you have hinted that you can't wait for upgrades to those unique boots. Are you able to enlighten us as to what is changing? I mean, it's not really... No, I can't. Sorry. I'd love to. It's more other stuff that's changing that's gonna just have an impact on it. And those boots are going to become a lot nicer. It's not just those boots, but yeah. A lot of things that used to suck are gonna be good all of a sudden. Am I dropping a lot of uniques, or is this just like normal now? I feel like I'm dropping a lot of uniques. Am I getting streamer RNG right now?
Stand down or die. I cannot do that.
So I should actually kill this spire instead of just dancing around it. Alright. Alright. Yeah, the boots, they're gonna get some more move speed. That is one thing they're getting. So that's nice. I guess that's the biggest thing I want for them. Give me more move speed. But I'm easy. All I want's more move speed. As we will see right now when I take that passive point, it's going in move speed. Yeah. 1% more move speed. Yay! Worth. It does say in that quest thing that you need to do X waves. In the top right it says what wave you're in. Oh. See, this is what I'm talking about. No one who plays these games ever reads. Including me, apparently. I think these spires would be cool if they like did something else when you got close to them. Like if it was like, yeah, they can shoot long range, but then when you're close to them it does something else different that's like a varied attack version. I think that would be more interesting. Alright, any consideration into examining companions and creating more synergies between them with their active abilities? Beastmaster feels a bit stale when it comes to companions. Absolutely. Remember that list I was talking about a minute ago of skills that desperately need help and some rework love? Well, the top two things on that list right now, as far as I'm concerned, are Bear and Sabretooth. Yeah. I think that, oh my goodness, that avalanche in the little corridor, come on, buddy. Give me a freaking break. Let's just calm down, okay?
I cannot do that.
Seriously. My goodness. My goodness. Okay, we got through it. Yeah. Bear, I think Raptor has the most inter-companion synergies because it is the Beastmaster companion, and when we made it, we were like very much thinking, hey, if you have this, you're a Beastmaster and are probably going to have other companions. We did want to kind of be careful about having companions be only good as a Beastmaster at all. If that makes any sense. Like, we still want a druid to be able to take one pet and have it be good. And we still want a shaman to be able to take one pet and have it feel good. Or two pets. I mean, like, there's storm crows or something. So, like, having them still be good on other classes is important, but having them be the focal point of your build on Beastmaster is important too. So yeah, having that's why Raptor has more of those inter-skill synergies. It's also one of the newest of them all, so it's when we were doing more of those things. Bear and Sabretooth are two of the oldest skill trees in the game right now. Dark Swift, Mike Baby, so I see the PC you posted on Facebook. I hear Zizaran is getting his own unique. I see making moves. When are you going to get Dark's Amish class? How many more money memes does it take for this to happen? Well, we actually put in an application to the Amish Cultural Appropriation Board, and we got rejected. So unfortunately, we're not allowed to put it in the game. I know. Hopes and dreams dashed. We were all very sad. We went through a lengthy appeals process, but it doesn't look like it's going to be possible. My build is, I haven't done anything to it other than take like a few passives and a few skill active points for quite a while. And the cracks are starting to show, mostly in my gear. Yep. My defenses are lackluster and my damage output is okay, but not great.
Do that.
Well, try harder then if you can't do it. Alright. Not all skills need conversions. Thematically, some skills should, in my opinion. Flame Reeve. Just, I have my hands completely off the keyboard. I had like my arms crossed in front of my chest and just like folded, not really crossed. But either way, yeah. That was my bad. That's what happens when you don't pay attention at all. Nope. One day I'll sort this all. Biggest lie ever. Oh, I'm never gonna sort this. Like 3 Stormtides. You know what? Have fun on the ground, Stormtide. Yeah, not all the skills need conversions. I agree. I definitely agree that not all of them should need conversions. And, yeah, Flame Reeve dealing physical damage because it's a giant fire wave. That's what I was talking about how, like, of all of the places we do a full conversion to a melee skill would likely be on Spellblade, for exactly the reason you say. Bribe time, how many Twitch subs for a legendary item leak? Now, see, the problem here is that if I give you a legendary item right now, it completely unveils the entire legendary system. And we're not quite ready to do that yet. So I don't want to put a number on it. I'm sorry. Good try. Very good try. After 8-4, what skills will the desperately need? What skills will be on the desperately need reworking list? And this is not to say that these are the ones that will get reworked, but I mean, yeah, the ones I'll pick out a few that personally I feel are. And we've got 5 subs gifted from Daedalus to the stream. Congrats everyone if you got one of those. There's some names I recognize in there. You got Quiet and Epoch builds are in there. Oh, and there's a whole bunch more. Is that looks like 10 more? I don't even know how many that is. We're getting flooded. Dahariel, thank you very much. Is this an attempt at a bribe anyways?
I cannot do that.
I did make nah, I'm not gonna say that, never mind. Sorry. Oh man, I'm terrible, I'm sorry. I want to tell you guys so bad, I do. Let's get in trouble. And thank you TNY for gifting a sub to Nari? I have a very difficult time keeping my mouth shut about these things. It is the hardest part about doing this for me. Okay. What are you most excited for us to see in the new patch? I know this is terrible after giving the last question of what I just did, but legendary items, new crafting system, that whole thing. My favorite part about this sort of stuff is the like build crafting and item designs and all those sorts of things. So like there's huge changes coming to those systems next patch that are just gonna be awesome. And what am I talking about? Druid's still not out yet. Oh man, this is gonna be a great patch. I say that every time though, so I'm not to be trusted when I say these things.
I cannot do that.
Yeah, timed it. So good. Come on, skip some of these, please. So many. So many. I need a way to just like skip but don't mute subsequent ones. Someone who's good at this, tell me if that's a button that I'm just missing. Has there been any talk about restricting? We're also like, what are we? It's the 19th, 10th. We're 21 days. It's not a lot of time. It's really not a lot of time. Has there been any talk about restricting enemy attack range if you're below the character? Certain mobs, Ember Mages being the most egregious, can kill you before you even see them due to limited visibility at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, having them be like a relative position to you range change is my initial reaction is there's no way. Especially when you get into multiplayer stuff, but even in single player, just having those range changes change based on how far to the player you are, because like, yeah, I guess which way's up is always consistent. I don't know, maybe it's not a bad idea, especially because of some enemies like that. I think Ember Mages might just need to have their range dropped a little bit. You know? Yeah. I think I'm falling behind a bit. So I'm gonna try and speed this up a little bit. Any chance of bucklers and more finesse weaponry becoming available. Want to build a swashbuckler style rogue. That's cool. I actually have my D&D character right now is accidentally basically a pirate. I was not setting out to make a pirate, but through a couple well-timed rolls, I ended up being a pirate, and I love it. I also lie reflexively, but have 0 charisma, so I'm terrible at lying. So I lie every chance I get, and fail at my lies every single time. It's wonderful. Anyways, yeah, I'd say there's always a chance of getting more item types in the game. That's something that we do really want to expand as time goes on. It gives us room for all sorts of design stuff, new design avenues, just having new item base types. It's always great. Oh, I don't know if we talked about it, but the whole like clicking out of bounds. So like clicking out of bounds over here, causing me to, like I'm clicking out of bounds away on the right here, and the closest point to this that's actually in bounds is way up here somewhere, but instead it's clicking at my feet. I think we've actually got a system for that set up to fix it now. If not, we're working on it. Big progress is made on it, so that was something that happened that came up out of the stream, which was, I think, cool. And also, we've got Will Batron, who has hosted us with 1 viewer. Thank you very much. Welcome that 1 viewer. All right, Dark Swift. I've offered Mike my mom, my money, my memes, my comments. I think we can all agree if he can put up with me, he can pretty much handle anything on Earth. I try. Can you please draw us a picture of a squirrel? My goodness, no. Fine, I'll do it in a bit. I'm so bad at drawing. The squirrel is going to be awful. A little logic diagram on this piece of paper, but you know, let's try and get let's get a little picture of a squirrel going here. I'll do that later. Ace Ventura. Oh, Fink is Einhorn. Yes. Oh. Yes. Thank you. Wow, that's a great movie. I think I might go as Ace Ventura next year. I've got the tutu and the hair and I got a shirt just like that. You know, you guys know the one I'm talking about, right? The big boots and the tutu. I think that'd be a good look. All right, we've got another question here from Seneca, first time chat from viewer. Welcome to the chat. You said earlier that there is a list with skills which you guys want to rework or change. Focus, Arcane Ascendancy are on that list. Yeah, they're not super high on the list, but yeah, they're definitely on it. Because I think they sometimes can be a little annoying to play with, even if they are good skills. Maybe introduce a way to make them not make you stop moving, or make the bust last for some time after they cast. Yeah, it's abilities that stop movement are so tricky to get right. So tricky. Like, it's unbelievable how tricky they are. I actually really like Arcane Ascendance as it is. It's I know he's not a very popular champion anymore in LoL, but it's very reminiscent of Xerath. I think old Xerath. I think they may have even changed it because not being able to move sucks, right? But I think there's a time and a place for it, and I don't want to say that like we intentionally make skills for multiplayer, because we don't. We make skills for the game that are fun in the game. But I think that there are some skills that will perform very differently based on the size of your party. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it's gonna be. I think you're I cannot do that. Some things are gonna scale. So like in a situation where you know you're fighting really difficult things that are gonna stick around for a long time, and you've got a tank in the front line, something that makes you immobile but increases your damage and range could be a lot more useful than a situation where you don't have that frontline tank to hold things off for you. Avalanche. My goodness, boy. Let's get. Well, try to just get one of them. Hiya! Yeah, if that makes any sense. Will class mastery affix slots be considered expanding into other gear slots, i.e. gloves? Or are you happy with the current setup of having uniques occupy that space to be able to slot in relatively easily? We're pretty happy with the way it is now. That's not to say it'll never happen, but we picked the slots we picked for two reasons. Relic, because it's really easy to make really strong class associations with relics, and relics aren't purely class locked, because there's like the goblet, for example. But like you get these banners and these crests, and they're really thematic to a Sentinel style build. But then you get things like there's the shrunken heads or whatever for the Acolyte. I don't have a good example. Yeah, these things. The homunculus. It's just like you can't give that to a Sentinel and have it be thematic. Like, it just doesn't work, right? So that's one reason, and then also for the same reason, like armors are really thematic, like strong pieces to have strong theming there. Like you generally don't want full heavy plate on a caster. Like it's just there's a thematic break there. And it also lets us the things that show up visually on your character that determine how they look primarily is body armor, which is the big piece, and helmet. So having those only need to be skinned onto one character saves us a lot of work. So that's that like secondary like. Also, it's nice because of this reason. Can we get a Last Epoch joke? What did the Sentinel say to the Sorcerer? I don't know. What did the Sentinel say to the Sorcerer? I'm sorry, I'm so far behind in chat because it makes the joke timing terrible. But I bet it was a funny joke. Any reason why Sentinel has less DR than Rogue in passive skills? They have more access to it in gear by default. And idols. Slight oversight probably as well. I know you're referring to, there's a forum post that broke down a lot of those sources recently. We do look at things like the fact that Paladin has access to Holy Aura, and that there's in a lot of skills as well, there are like secondary healing effects. So like, and I'm just talking about Paladin right now, but like I think Sigils has some healing effects, and Juggernaut has Judgment has healing effects, and Holy Aura has defensive bonuses, and like there's a lot of things like that come in a kit, so we don't necessarily need to put it all in the passives as well. Yeah. But it is good to see that, like, I know we've not broken down that data quite as high level as that post had, so it was a really interesting post. It was good to read. I don't know if any direct changes will come out of it, but they might. Not sure if Trisoki's seen it or not yet. Come on, buddy. I want to look at another chat question. Alright, is there ever going to be stash affinities? Yeah, that's a really cool system that PoE added where, like, quick adding items to tabs, you can be like, only, like, just quick add helmets to this tab, or quick add, you know, whatever to this tab. And I think that's a really cool system. If we did, we'd probably do it a little bit differently, but, yeah, I'd say there's a good chance there's something that would be similar. Oh wow, I'm up to the sub. Well, I was 20 subs from Dahariel. Thank you very much for that. I am far behind. Let's try and catch up. Come on. Note to self, Mike is the weak spot of the EHG crew. Bribe blackmail for info, multiplayer access. Is it going to be a great patch? It is going to be a great patch. Any sneak peeks as the new character select screen, like 50% of the screen or maybe 50 pixels? I mean, the exit button's not moving, so there's 50 pixels you can look at that's the same. You should do a Two Lies and Truth style game for leak relating to lesser known 8.4 features. Yeah, that's a good idea. Reimer, if you can come up with that for this, hit me. We might do it next stream instead. Reimer might be playing multiplayer, though. He might not be here. Will Legendaries have class-specific affixes? They can. They definitely can. I caught up! That's right. Knocking out those questions. Yeah, yeah, you'll be able to have lots of class specific affixes on legendaries. There's legendaries are kind of all over the place in what they can have. Like there's there's almost anything you can get in there. Obviously, depending on which one it is. Sorry. You should say that. That might not be obvious, but yes. You can't put any affix on any legendary. Like, you can't just... No, that... We're not putting plus melee physical damage on every single slot. that would be bad. Throwing damage? We don't do throwing damage. What controller updates are happening in the next update? It's a lot of little things. We're just expanding the systems that we already have, so just minor improvements here and there. Also, just new things will be controller accessible. It's kind of a pirate-esque shield right there. Corsair's boarding shield. I know it's not what you're looking for. Control updates, yeah, so like we're in the process right now of, I think, setting up the character select screen to work with it. Things like that. So there's just like more stuff is going to be, don't need the keyboard and mouse. The goal, of course, I shouldn't say of course, the goal is to have the entire game be controller functional. That's like the full controller support definition, I think, is where you can play the game from boot to close without ever touching keyboard and mouse, and it does work. Because that's what's required to get it onto a console, right? Which is, just for the record, not the reason we're adding controller support. We always wanted controller support, but that is a nice upside of adding controller support. Alright, any improvements on combat feedback, like chunky hit sounds, gore, etc.? I've been getting this gore question a lot lately, actually, which is interesting to see. Yeah, I mean, there's always little changes to things like that happening. There's no gigantic system-wide changes that are happening. We're not picking up a close call. Wasn't even close. But yeah, like, sounds for all sorts of things get added all the time. So yes. The answer to that question is almost always yes, though, which I know is not really good information. So what is not getting touch and aid for that desperately needs reworking? You got distracted and did not answer. Ah, I'm sorry. I did get distracted and didn't answer. You can take one of those, right? No problem. Easy peasy. Okay, my regen's not necessarily enough to do this forever, though. Okay, so things that I would put in this category. And this is not necessarily things in 8.5, but just skills that I believe are in the game and in need of a glow up on their skill trees. I would personally say, like, Summon Bear, Summon Sabretooth are the two most needed ones myself. That's the ones I would like to see. Other ones that I'd like to see are, like, Storm Totem, Teleport, Volatile Reversal. I'm not a huge fan of a few things on there. I say Tempest Strike, Tempest Strike. Those would be my personal. Those are just notes that I wrote down for myself.
I cannot do that.
I love that. I love that. Are you guys doing another one of those Druid Week type blog posts for Dungeons, Legendaries, etc.? These really got me hyped. Yeah, I don't have the schedule for it, so I don't know when they're happening, but I don't necessarily know if they'll be quite as concentrated. But yeah, there's gonna be a Dungeons. It'll probably be a Dungeon Legendary combined post. Or one right after the other. I don't know. I think there's enough they can each have their own post, probably. Looks like there's some confusion in chat. Summon Bear and Summon Sabretooth are not getting updated in 8.4. At least not in a major way. There might be some minor little things here and there. But Tornado might be on that list too. This is my personal opinion on things that I'd like to. We've unveiled all of the skills that are getting major reworks in this upcoming patch already. That there's no hidden ones. There's one new skill that we haven't mentioned yet.
I cannot do that.
But all the skills that are getting major, like, throw out the tree, start again reworks. Bear Form and Spriggan Form, I think, are the only two.
Stand down or die. I cannot do that.
Yeah, if you were trying to figure out what was coming by process of elimination there, sorry. There was no information to be gleaned.
I cannot do that.
But that was sneaky. That was good. I like that. You would, if there was something else, you totally would have had me. I did not think of that. Wait, are you Canadian? I am Canadian. Something behind me that gives that away? No, not really. I mean, there's a very impossible to see hat for a hockey team. Oh, that was a spicy one. Oh, Entangling Roots. Yes, sorry. Forgot about Entangling Roots. The new Entangling Roots is just so much better and so different that it seems like a new skill to me. In my brain, it's just a different skill. Good core stats for crafting on. I hear the oot in a boot every now and then, so I figured. I don't say a boot, do I? It's no. There's no dude about it, eh? Oh yeah, bud. Oh yeah. Eh? Where is it? Give me a new one. One in here though. Yes. All the tabs for Mike. All of them. That was me hitting my... Oh, that was me hitting my telekinesis button again. If you ever see the skills panel pop up randomly in town, it's because I think it's telekinesis. Got these shady buggers, eh? First and last letter for the new rogue skill. I'll give you a last letter to tell you nothing. It's an S. Such a common letter for the end of a skill. I bet there's like a dozen already in the game that have the last letter S. What? It's denying the term bolus? As it, oh, bolus. I see the skill. Is it bolus? As soon as you said bolus, my initial reaction was nickel bolus? No. What? For anyone who's not aware, nickel bolus is one of the bad guys in several Magic storylines. Collect up a party, turn on the music, and die instantly. Yeah. So good. Last Epoch puts Magic Secret Lair when? No. Get out. No. Oh, so triggered by that. Make magic, that's okay. But not Magic Secret Lair. We'll make Magic Secret Lair first before we did that. As much as I would love to see Last Epoch Magic cards, oh my goodness. Sorry. It's a little... My blood boiled away a little bit there. Got a little hot under the collar. Okay, I've calmed down. No, it's very disappointing that you're not booting it all over the shop. Do you still not considering an auto loot option for shards? It's not on the table right now. People are always welcome to request it. It might happen one day, but it's not planned currently. There's a lot of like little things that like there's a lot of things that I would consider busy work, and a lot of things that I would consider like part of the like playing an RPG, playing this game where you're this character and you're doing these things. And I think taking the items to town to be identified or using an identification scroll on them would be considered that like busy work category. But like looking at the item to see if it's actually good yourself instead of having a computer tell you it's good, I think is not in that category of busy work. So like having to like mouse over and see like, does this have some stat that's not able to be filtered or not, you know? And see if the item's actually good to evaluate it, I think is a valuable thing to do. But having to pick that item up, use an ID scroll on it, and actually like identify it that way is something I would classify as busy work. And I think in a similar way, like having items just auto pick up in general. And I know we do it for gold, but it's partially because gold is always the same thing. Shards can be varied. There can be different types of shards and stuff like that, and crafting materials too. Sorry. Getting pinged. It's okay, though.
I cannot do that. I cannot do that.
Lore question. Oh, I'm terrible at these. I'll do my best, though. How much of the actual Egyptian mythology reference is Apophis in the game? It's a name at most. I don't need to read too much into like things that the like Egyptian mythology Apophis did, or like motivations or allies or enemies or anything like that. But you always want to pick up shards. Yeah, I understand. I know the flip side of this argument for sure. They added an auto loot components for Grim Dawn because almost everyone used a mod for that anyways. Yeah, and I'm not saying we'll never do it, but right now it's not in the cards. All these pretty shards. Why is that tooltip not shifting over? That's a bug. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. I think I know why, actually. I think it's taking the logic from the list instead of the inventory. Sorry, I'm back. Hello. Ice elementals. Ugh. All those shards. Rhyme giant. Get that avalanche garbage out of here. Come on, buddy. I'm not your buddy guy. I'm not your guy friend. I'm not your friend, buddy. And it just goes on like that forever.
I cannot do that.
I just saw a question that I think's directed at me. Don't forget to at me with your questions, or I will likely not see them. Do you guys have any plans for alternative uses for shards? I wish you could spend 100 shards to buff to X, or at least put the vault to... put them in a vault to swim on, Scrooge McDuck style. Nice. Yeah, that's definitely something we are looking at. And we want to have shard sinks for various things, because we know that some people will, for example, maybe only ever play one character, and if you're only ever playing a Blade Dancer, plus spell damage is likely never going to be a useful shard for you to use, and it's just going to sit there doing nothing, collecting dust. So having something to use them on is likely going to be good. I mean, if there's an economy on like selling them is a useful thing to do with them, but we know that lots of people play single player as well, so having a mechanic for them at the same time, which would give them more value in an economy system as well. So yes, we are looking at things to do with them. What are we going to do with them? I don't know yet. The new crafting system will likely have you using a lot more of them in general, but not for the ones that you never use, because you don't need them. At the very least, why do we need to click another button in the inventory to stock shards? It's another one of those, having them feel like an item instead of a resource things. It's actually that's the reason. So we want them to be an item that you're picking up rather than a than just like ticking up a number in a list. Like, oh, this went up one, this went up one, this went up one, great. But it actually seems like it's an item that you're picking up now, and that's and maybe we're not getting that across properly, and there needs to be a change to that. But that's the main thing. we might not be accomplishing that goal properly. Which, we just need to fix that problem, I think. Gorgon.
I cannot do that.
Come on, get around, find your way through the wilderness. Oh my goodness. I don't know why I picked them up even, because this account has a bajillion of every shard. So I haven't actually reset my global data in like 3 years. But it's just habit to pick them up. Come on, someone over there. Silly lightning elemental. Tricks are for kids. Alright. Have anything in this category? These are all shared. Not useful. Sorry, I'm trying to find stuff for you guys to learn about. To leak. Because I know you guys like that. Alright, we made it here. I am super gonna die to these. I can feel it.
I cannot do that.
I can feel it.
I cannot do that.
Alright. Maybe I'm just wrong. I'm fine with that.
I cannot do that. I
Oh,
cannot
come on.
do that.
I thought it was going to void cleave and give me a little hop, and it didn't. This is not as bad as I was expecting. I was expecting to get crushed here. And I may still die, but... I was expecting worse.
I cannot do that. I cannot do that.
I just need like a tiny bit shorter cooldown on Void Cleave. The beacons are lit. The beacons are lit! What am I looking at? Here it is. There will be ways that will incentivize spending shards that you don't normally spend in the new crafting system as well. Any chance for discount on Black Friday? I do not know when the next sale is. I don't think it's doing one on Black Friday, but I don't know. I feel like someone was talking about one recently, but time is a funny thing. You lose track of it sometimes. You get a couple days where the kid doesn't sleep, and suddenly you're like, what day is it? It's a big cold damage mod on there. Too bad we're swords only. Swords only. Wow. I thought that would have hit. Try dosing the kid with some whiskey. Yeah, I don't think the wife would be too pleased with that. Melatonin gummies might be a bit more acceptable. No, he's just teething, guys.
I cannot do that.
I am really excited for the UI at the top. We actually had someone request something, interestingly enough, to be able to turn it off, which I did not expect in the settings. But so we might might be adding that now too. Shouldn't be hard to turn off though, so not a big deal. It's just surprising. Oh, whatever. Are you guys happy that loot is entirely craft based beside uniques or legendaries? Change this subject a bit. Yes, legendaries do change the subject a bit. The goal, like the overarching design goal here, is to have all main types of drops be useful in some way. So, like, is it a legendary? Is it a unique? Is it a exalted? Is it crafted? Is it whatever? The goal is to have them all be relevant in some way for leveling your character and designing an endgame character. So I hope, and actually expect, that post-patch there will be in people's loot filters at least some of all of those categories of items. Well, some there's not a lot of set items, so some builds don't use any set items, so you know, maybe set items might not be as much. We are wanting to add more of those and get them more relevant for endgame stuff in general. But most builds will at least have them in the filter eventually, I'd say. But I'd kind of put set items and unique items in the same category as far as like successful, air quotes, successful if they exist type thing. Just give me a quick sec here without you.
I cannot do that.
You have no chance.
My goodness, woman. Just... Oh! She is strong. She is not messing around. Yeah. I'm considering submitting. That seems like a decent option right now. I mean, I'm reconsidering my chances right now, you're right, but no chance. Let's be realistic. Alright. Will you allow Transmog to change weapon types? Like, can I make a spear look like a sword? Or could that mess up animations, especially for things like Serpent Strike? Yes, it could definitely mess up animations, especially for things like Serpent Strike. I love this amulet. Very cool. I would say, like, unlikely to be able to transmog swords into spears and spears into swords, and like the base type. I say base type. So this is a term we've been dealing with. We're working out some wording for something recently, and we're like, we can't use the term base type because quite a few people think base type would mean like Flameburge, not two-handed sword. But in the back end, the term base type means two-handed sword, and subtype means Flameburge. So, and it's unfortunate that we can't use that terminology because most people, when they say base type, they mean Flameburge. So and we can't use item slot either because like these both go in the same item slot, but they're different types. So item type, I think, is the way to do it. So yeah, likely it'll have to be like only two-handed swords, two-handed swords. Yeah. Are you planning to voice over all the NPCs in the game in the future? We'd like to. There's a lot of them. I'd say there's a good chance that some of the less notable ones will be a little bit later on before they're fully voice acted, just because it does take quite a lot of work, coordination and everything. Yeah, you'd see it in a minute when I'm not getting ambushed. Dang. That was just my fault. I know I made a face like it wasn't. That was just my fault. What was I saying? I was trying to talk and play, and I play bad, so. All the NPCs getting voice acted. Yeah, it's we'd love to. No idea when it's going to happen. Might not be a launch thing. Might be a post-launch thing. Might be a launch thing. Who knows? But yeah, the thing that voice acting does, especially to the secondary characters, is it locks that content in place. We can't change that dialogue line anymore, just because it's suddenly. You have to go find that same voice actor to change that dialogue line. So either it has to be like one voice actor that does like 80 different characters, so it's really easy to just go back to that one person every single time, or it has to be someone that's like in-house, which most of us aren't voice actors. So we want to get professional voice actors for it. I've been teaching my kid every time they take a drink. I take a drink in front of them too, and I'll do that right afterwards and try to get them to do it each time. And the other day they did it. I was quite happy. They took a drink and they put the cup down. And like, proud dad moment. Anyway, sorry. Back to the questions. How about a key to lock the UI? The amount of times I open the minimap while kiting or changing skills. It's yeah. Yeah, I could see that. That's a good suggestion. I like that idea. I wonder if there's a reason we haven't done that. I don't know. What I meant was that I would like to simply find an item and use it as is from time to time. Oh, I see what you're saying. So like just have stuff be out of the box good. Yeah. That definitely is the case, or will be the case sometimes. It'll definitely be rarer that you do nothing to it. Like most of the time you'll want to do something to it. Whether that's just like some fine tuning, or whatnot, but most of the time it'll be, you'll have to do at least some little stuff to it. Archers, they just get me. But, yeah, I could see like some set items, for example, being no fine tuning required.
I cannot do that.
And like, I mean, set and unique items right now are find them and play them. There's no
I cannot do that.
nothing to do on them right now at all. And it is possible to find an exalted item that's just right. You don't have to touch it like that. It's because the crafting system is so I don't know what the term for it is. So specific, deterministic, easy to use, fruitful. I don't know exactly the right term I'm looking for here, but because of that, it is difficult to find items that need no attention at all. But I think it comes down to like dropping items that are you know are going to be at least useful or good or exciting, or yeah, it's having that moment of like, oh my god, I just dropped blank, like whoa. And with the crafting changes along with the legendary updates as well, both of those things are going to introduce more of a, oh my god, I just dropped a, that's so cool. Yeah. A weird question here. Whose idea was it to add the lesbian furry Scaly into Chapter 9 town because I love it? I have no idea what you're talking about. I am sorry. But it wasn't my idea. It was someone else's. This girl that talks about her lover and then says Nagasa, and they're kind of sexy, don't you think? I totally missed that myself. That's cool though.
Stand down or
I mean, teach their own, right? Why don't you like secret layers? Yeah. I'm a secret layer hater too, but I'm curious about your opinion. If I don't ask now, I'll never find out. I don't hate the concept of it. I think that there are a lot of really great ways that they could implement them. I love what they're doing. So I don't want to get too deep into this. Really, the only thing is there should never be mechanically unique cards available in them. That's it. And I know that they are retroactively fixing that. But at no point in time should there ever be a situation where the only way you can achieve a mechanically unique card is through a limited time offer, extremely expensive situation. And then I'm also not a fan of bypassing local shops for it. And the shipping's ridiculous. And the weight is insane. But I do love that they've shifted the super expensive like flare cards, where it's like they're just mechanically the same, but they just look really unique and different. That's exactly what secret layers are good for. I think the prof had really good videos about it. I don't remember what he said exactly, but I bet it's pretty similar to what I just said. It's kind of like us selling visually unique but mechanically identical MTX items, where it's cosmetic, and that's what secret layers are. They're cosmetic MTX for Magic. That's what they should be. Sorry. I'm done with it. Don't you think, for instance, Void Cleave you are using needs some powerful / audio? Mostly can't hear anything when you're using it. My audio might not be balanced really well for it. It's so quiet. Yeah, so this is the thing. My sound effects are quite low compared to everything else. So like if I get those sound effects up a little higher.
I cannot do that.
I want to see the echo use it. I just realized something. Echoes do not have the same use sound. So there's different things that can trigger sound. So there's the like I've pressed the button can trigger a sound. There's the abilities actually starting to be used sound, which there's a slight delay in there sometimes. And there's the ability now exists sound, which there can be a slight delay in there now too. And then the ability, there can be a sound over the duration of the ability that can exist there. So like Disintegrate has a duration, like a sound while active. And then there can be a sound on death as well. So like death is the term used for an object being destroyed. And so like when the visuals disappear, there can be a sound as well. When the ability object disappears, the visuals can persist after the ability object disappears. Yeah. A lot of the specific ones can quite often just be... I don't know, I turn the music up for the stream because I think it's nice to have that music actually be audible, generally. Yeah, let's do that. If there are specific sounds that you think could really use a beef up or anything like that, getting those suggestions on the forums are really good. Also, I know this might be weird, but it's helpful to get like tags in a post. You don't have to tag them, but just like if you like go post me the suggestions, you put just like in square brackets just like sound in front of that. It makes it really easy to like categorize what it is and get the right eyes on it. Advanced feedback tips. Definitely not necessary, so don't feel you need to. We get, and this is not a bad thing, I just want to be clear here, we get so many suggestions for so many different things, and it is absolutely wonderful that we get all these suggestions. We sometimes have a tricky time filtering the suggestions for things that like are able to be done, things that are in the game already, things that we can't do, things that we want to do, and then filtering the categories as well of like, are they sound suggestions? Are they VFX suggestions? My goodness, are they gameplay suggestions? Ooh. Commander's Crusader Gauntlets of Frost. Those might be good. Minion damage is Commander. Start my post with Mike now. I'm not the one that goes through... I do go through it all. What am I talking about? I'm not the only Mike. How big is the crafting rework? The core... I want to say functionality of being able to take shards and affix them to items. I shouldn't say affix when they're affixes. Bad choice of words, Mike. Being able to take an item and slap an affix on it and have that item now have that new affix, being able to slap an upgrade onto that, that's not going anywhere. That's the same. That's still the way it is. We're really trying to target the feelings that get generated from the system and how those get evoked. So, like, showing this number, and I want to be clear, we're not just removing this number, but showing this number is really terrible because no one understands what this number means. It's a broad generalization. Very few people know what this number means. And I know it's really obvious at first glance what this number means, but it's in practice, almost no one can really understand in their head what's happening with this number and repeatedly using this number. And so we've redesigned the system a bit to get away from having just this, like, this number, basically. And I want to be clear, we're not leaving everything the same and just turning the number off, because that doesn't fix the problem. Because if we do turn that number off, if that was what we were doing, is just turning the number off, which is not what we're doing, keep saying it, 'cause we're not just turning the number off, is that you'd end up with someone just generating a tool to figure out the math behind what it is, and then there'd just be like some big giant spreadsheet on a website that'll be like, if you have these number of affixes, like put the number of affixes in the item, and I'll generate the chance for you. And it would just turn to a Google sheet that gets circulated, or it would be built into Tunk Labs or Epoch Tools or something like that. Like, it's great websites, don't be wrong. And we want to avoid having those third-party tools be necessary to do things. So we want that information that you need to decide if you want to do this upgrade or not still be in the system. We still want there to be a like an element of chance, a risk reward system that's like all these like core things we're keeping in there. And I'm like really trying to describe how it's changing without actually saying what's changing. It's really hard. There will be a post about it, but I guess what I want to say is the core goals of the crafting system are staying the same, and the core functionality of the crafting system is staying the same. But the way it happens and the feelings it evokes is changing. And overall, so the CTs do have their hands on this now. And overall, I think the feedback's been really positive. They've had some great suggestions to shore up the system as well, which is why we show it to a few people before we release it fully, because we are not perfect. And but yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'm really confident with it. I think it's going to be a very positive change. I think we're going to get way fewer posts of crafting system is broken, because we do still see those posts on the forum and on Reddit and on Discord. Like, why does 90% feel like 10%? Is like, I bet there's a dozen posts that have almost that exact same title. You know? Because and like overhauling all the glyphs and runes available as well, because most of them don't make sense anymore for the new system. And we really want to add new mechanical options in these runes and glyphs. So not only are we overhauling the old ones, we're also adding new ones as well. This may have been a mistake. I may have bitten off a little more than I can chew. His floating health bar is inside his body. Bye-bye. Move speed worth it? Haha! Now I'm unstoppable! Look at that! Crushed him so fast.
I cannot do that.
It was all the move speed. They moving? Is this patrol? It is patrol. You're doing a decent job of explaining it while not saying anything specific. Thanks you. Thanks you. Thank you. My mouse went off my playmat there. It's weird. Is it off-centered? A little bit. Out of there. Eep! Nailed it.
I cannot do that.
Also new runes and glyphs. Yes, also new runes and glyphs. Yeah, reworked old ones and new ones. I don't think the CTs have all those either yet.
I cannot do that.
The build they got was pretty limited. Still working on a lot of it. A lot of it comes together, like, surprisingly late in the cycle.
I cannot do that.
Because we just try and cram everything we can into a new patch. We're just like, it'll fit. There's room for one more. It'll fit. That was me packing a sleeping bag into a stuff sack, by the way. Because there's always room for one more. Oh, wait, was that a good helmet? Yes, it was. That's a pretty good helmet, too. Alright, we are really close to the end here. Do I have room for one more? Time for one more? Yeah, let's do one more. We'll do the boss. We'll do the boss next time. Didn't quite get through it. Even room for a car? Always. Idols! What happened to that squirrel you were gonna draw? Oh, I forgot about the squirrel! Oh my god, this is awful. This is, how do you draw squirrel appendages? Arms? Oh my god, this is just the worst thing ever. Oh, guys, I don't know if I'm gonna show this off. This looks like a dinosaur or something with a giant tail. Let's try and give him some fur. Hide my abysmal drawings. He's holding a big acorn. So what that is, you're gonna have to believe me, that's an acorn. It's a squirrel. Probably see some like weird math through the back of there. Sometimes I just need to like look at it on paper. Doesn't work in my head. Mike custom LE art when? Is the Acolyte model rework coming with the Reperform rework? No, it is not. Oh, come on! Lightning Elemental of the Ox. Yeah, Lich is suffering a little bit from the Archon effect right now, which is a little unfortunate. Sad to say. Come on, trying to get to the end here. Stream's over in like a minute. Please tell me I didn't go the wrong way. Lunge further. Oh, don't just die when you get here either. That would be a mistake. Oh.
I cannot do that.
Squirrel! Alright, we got there. Let's pop our chest, see what we got. Oh, we're in Arena Q1. That's fine. Well, that's all we've got for you today. Thank you for coming to hang out. I had a great time. I hope you did too. I appreciate each and every one of you stopping by, answering questions, asking questions so I could answer questions. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's go say hi to someone. Let's have some fun.